did a sprint triathlon, and anybody that knows me knows I'm afraid of water. I'm afraid of deep water. I don't go in anything that's over my head without panicking and having panic attacks. But, someone's like, oh, well, you would be able to do that if you could swim. And I'm like, I'm getting in that water. But again, that was that bet against me. Okay, go ahead, bet against me. And I did 3 of them.
All right, we're here with Carrie Miller. How you doing, Carrie?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for joining us. You've been pretty busy lately.
Yes, very busy.
You're a TikTok star now.
No, not even. Not even a TikTok star. Forget that, no. It's fun. I'm having fun with it, but...
Yeah, if you want to just tell everybody what you kind of do on that.
Yeah, so mainly... TikTok's just kind of for fun. It's for my mental well-being, really. I mean, I just enjoy doing something, and I always have to be doing something. And school just wasn't cutting it anymore. Like, I was going to school, and then finally I'm like, I need to do something for myself more than just school. And then I was watching TikTok and seeing all these people on TikTok doing makeup reviews and doing makeup, and I'm like, there's no way they do makeup like that. And so I was like, I want to do it from not a makeup artist side. I've never been to school for makeup. I don't know what the heck I'm doing. I'm just doing it. And so I was like, I want to show people what real people do. And so that's kind of how I started it. And then I was seeing people getting free makeup, and my makeup bill was racking up. So it was nice to be able to get some free stuff while doing it.
Yeah, I get 2 birds stoned at once.
Yeah,
I like it.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, just to back up there, you said you were doing a lot of school.
Yeah.
Tell everybody how much school you've done. I know it's quite a lot.
Yeah, so, I mean, I started actually in high school. I got my medical assistant license, and then I had to work my way up. I was a teen mom. I had my first son at 16, and I couldn't just put full 2 feet in there and just go full force. I couldn't just go to college for 6 years and be done with it. And so I just started little. I did that, and a few years later, I went to LPN school, so I became a licensed practical nurse. And then I got my associates in nursing, and then my bachelor's in nursing, and then I went and got my master's in nursing. And then I went back again and got my master's in healthcare administration. And then I went back again and got my master's in education and health and wellness. So kind of worked my way up there. So 3 master's degrees. I don't know if I'm any smarter, but I have them under my belt. I did learn a lot, but I don't know if I'm any smarter. But and then just through work, I also did like a health coaching class to help with that too.
How much cumulative time have you done in school?
I don't even know. I know how much money I've spent. I don't know how much time. I don't know. I mean, like I said, I started young and just kind of did a little bit at a time. I would say my master's degree, I did it faster than anybody, they said. A lot of people, I went through the University of Phoenix for my master's in nursing and my master's in healthcare administration. It was a dual program. And with the University of Phoenix, you just go. You take your class, you take another class. There's no break. You have a break like around Christmas time. You get a week or 2 off, but it's not like here where you get a couple weeks off or a couple months off for summer or anything like that. You take it as you can. Like you take the class, and then if you need a break, you tell them I need a break, and you'll start back up. And so I didn't do that. It took me 18 months. And I went full force and got it done in 18 months, that one. And then went back for my my education in health and wellness. And that took, I think that was about the same, about 18 months to do that. But again, it was a constant, 18 months of going to school, no breaks.
And this is all while still juggling a full-time job, correct?
Yeah. Still I always worked full time going to school. I think for my LPN job, or when I went to LPN school, I didn't work full time, but I was working a part-time job. I had 2 small kids. My husband was in the military. And so, yeah, I've always done it. My ultimate goal was to become a nurse practitioner. That was always my ultimate goal. And that's a master's or a doctorate in nursing. And I seen how much time school takes, and that was like triple of what I've done. And I'm like, I just can't work a full-time job and do that and be away from my family. I'm too old now. I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
I think I've accomplished enough,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. I know that there's a lot of times that we would come over and hang out,
Yeah.
and you would still be over in your office just working, doing your schooling, and then you would be like trying to get you to go and do something, play cornhole or whatever, and you're grinding away.
Yeah, between doing the work, I was always on the computer between school and work, and just, grinding away, trying to get it done and trying to fit everything in, try to fit work in, try to fit, friends in, my husband in, having a social life. But you just have to push through it. I think for me, the biggest thing was being organized. I'm pretty organized. People at work would say I'm the organizational queen. I have to have a calendar. I have to have things broken down. Like even with my TikToks, I have a full calendar of when I'm going to post and what video content I'm going to post. I do that at work too. I have a list of what needs to be done, and just staying organized kept me on top. And with the school, same thing. Hey, I know that on Friday I can write my paper. On Saturday, I'm going to edit it. And Sunday, I'm going to post it. So having that and just that mind frame, just did it. I don't know how, but I did it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's I think when you do your calendar and planning ahead and making sure that you're staying on track, it just gives you little goals to make sure that you're hitting your mile points into, especially as busy as you are.
Yeah. I think that helped a lot. It helps a lot. I mean, I think it would help with anything, even with you, with your podcasts and stuff, having a plan and knowing who's coming on, when you're going to post it. This is when I'm posting, this is when I'm editing, and this is when I'm releasing it. And so having that calendar, like I have a full calendar with the whole month, and then I have a weekly calendar. So I know each day what I'm going to record and what I'm going to, and then I edit it, and then I know what I'm going to be posting. And so I just make sure that what I'm posting is what is being edited and it's ready to go.
I think that really helps out too with your coaching that you do, because you're setting specific goals. And I know that's a big thing when you're coaching people, especially with fitness, is setting specific goals and a timeline and things to actually achieve. Because if you're just saying like, oh, I'm going to get 10 posts put up this month, but you're not being specific of when or what, it's going to be really hard to make sure that you're hitting that and getting everything else that you need to get hit.
Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly what I coach is, making those SMART goals, making them specific, you got to make them measurable, attainable. And so making those smaller goals to reach those bigger goals. Because if you go out and you have this big goal and you have these big dreams, but you don't have any little small, attainable things that you're going to accomplish, then eventually you're going to get burnt out. You're going to be like, I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet. But if you have a small goal and you reach that, and then you're like, oh, I did that. Okay, I'm going to keep going, and I'm going to reach this goal, and then I'm going to reach this goal. It just keeps that momentum going rather than just saying, this is what I'm going for. This is the big picture, and that's exactly what I want, because then you lose steam.
Right. And you're just focusing on what you can control.
Yeah.
I know for myself, like I set little goals of maybe how many subscribers I want to get to by the end of the year or things like that, but I can't actually control if someone hits that click or, like, subscribe, but I can control how many posts I put up. I can make sure that I'm doing it on time, and that's all I worry about. And as long as I'm hitting those, then that's all I could control.
Yeah.
But, if you're worrying about other things out of your control, then...
Yeah, it's good to have those kind of goals, but you have to stick to what you need to do to get to that goal. And you're right. You may not be able to hit that many subscribers, but you can do the best job that you can to put out the best content.
Yeah. You can't control the wind. You can only control yourselves, right?
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
What are some of the lessons you've learned from helping people or coaching? What's some of the best stories that you've had, or can you think of anybody that you've really helped change their life or anything like that?
Yeah, I think for me, it's pretty individualized. Like each person's different. Each person has different goals. Each person has different mindset. I do remember there's a few, but there's one that I can think of that I met with this individual, and he was pretty overweight. He was a football player in high school, did a little bit of college, and then when he got out, a lot of football players, they don't keep up with the regiment that they're doing, to train, and they gain weight. And he gained all this weight, and he was getting older, and he's like, I can't go to the gym and do an hour workout, it doesn't do anything for me. Like my hormones are different. I'm older, it's not the same. And so I'm like, okay, well, let's talk about this. And so we talked, and I told him, I said, this is what I want you to do. Well, I didn't tell him. We came up with this plan. I want you to write down or track your goals, or track your calories. Sorry. I want you to track your calories for 2 days. I want you to look at what you're consuming for 2 days. And then on our next session, I want to look at those. And he said, yeah, I can do that. I was like, don't cheat. Don't, I want you to count everything. He said, okay. So a week later, I come back and he's like, I can't believe this. I'm like, what? He's like, I stopped tracking. He's like, I stopped tracking the first day. And I'm like, well, why? And he's like, because I had consumed 3,000 calories before lunch. Before lunch. And I was like, well, how did that make you feel? And he's like, I didn't know. Like, I did not know.
Yeah.
And so it just gave that awareness to him and kind of the momentum. And, he made some small changes. We didn't, but he made some small changes and was able to lose a significant amount of weight. Other things too, adding some fitness into it and, mental wellness in it and as well. But yeah, he was able to achieve that. And so that was a big win for him and for me. It made me feel good that I was able to help him with just a couple tweaks. Sometimes we all know what we all know what we need to do. We know fitness, we know eating correctly, we know what we need to do, but it's just being accountable and doing that. And me being able to coach him, helped him be accountable.
I think a lot of times people don't need more education. They need more application.
Yeah.
They already know what to do. It's just actually following through.
Yeah.
And back to, I think a lot of people too, they say that they lose, I just want to get back to my high school weight.
Right.
But I think if you get back down to why they were at the weight that they were at, right. A lot of people had a purpose when they were in high school, whether it's on a team or they're trying to date or anything. Yeah. But I think people lose a purpose and then they just kind of let themselves go. So it's just trying to find your new purpose. Maybe it's your kids. It's you want to live longer for your kids. You want to be an example, whatever it is. Obviously for me, I always refer back to my kids, but whatever your new purpose is, you just have to have some kind of purpose to drive you through those dark times.
Yeah. And that's it. And that's what we do a lot of when I do health coaching. I do a lot of motivational interviewing, trying to find out what's their purpose. Why do they want to do this? Why do you want to reach, your high school weight? Is that really realistic? Do you really want to go back to that? And, what is the purpose? Why are you wanting to do this? And really diving deep and using that kind of as a leverage for when we come back to the session and I can say, well, let's talk about your goal. Your goal was this. Now, what are you doing? And your purpose was this. Now, how are you going to reach that? Is what you're doing reaching that, or is it not? And so it's really nice to have kind of use that as a leverage for that.
For me, I find it a lot easier to have someone find their purpose, and I think it's got to be an external force. Mm-hmm. Because we've always said, I just want to lose weight so that I feel better, or I want, but how many times have you let yourself down already?
Right.
But how hard is it to say that you're going to let down your kid or your wife or whoever? And I find a lot of comfort in dark times. So for me, this is pretty dark, but I always tell people and they're like, I don't know what my purpose is. And I say, well, if you're in a car crash and you're about to die and you only have 30 seconds left, who do you want to see?
Yeah.
Oh, I want to see my kids. You're like, well, there's your purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I like the dark stuff, but I think that you got to find it, right? So
yeah, you do have to find it. You do. And like you said, everybody's purpose is different. Yours is your kids. Mine is, when I retire, I want to be able to live. I don't want to be in a wheelchair. I don't want to be able to not see. I want to be able to enjoy retirement. I've worked all these years. So my purpose, other than my family, I want to live for my family as well. But my purpose is that I want to be able to live to do things with them when I'm older.
Yeah. A lot of times you see people that are retired and now they can't do the things that they were saying, I'm going to do it when I'm older or.
Yeah. And that was my mother-in-law. She passed away in her 60s. And she had to retire, or she was disabled because she couldn't see. She had diabetes, and didn't take care of it and couldn't see. So she was legally blind. And all she really wanted to do was go to England, go to Amsterdam, and travel. And she was able to do that, and she couldn't enjoy it because she couldn't walk up the castle stairs. She couldn't see things. And so, I think it was like a year and a half, 2 years, if I'm not mistaken, she died. She passed away. And it's like, you didn't take care of yourself, and now you didn't get to enjoy the things that you wanted to enjoy. So just kind of sad, but that's the reality if you don't take care of yourself.
Have you ever heard of the Japanese tradition? It's called the misogi.
Mm-mm.
So they have this tradition where you do one event.
I'm kind of scared about this.
You do one event every year that just kind of sets the precedence for that year.
Okay.
Like a challenge, like a really hard challenge.
Okay.
Some people decide to do like 100-mile run in one day, or they decide to, climb something really physical. Mm-hmm. But I've really embraced that lately of trying to figure out something to do every year. And even like mini challenges, like just every other month, I want to do something that I would not regularly do.
Yeah. What is it this year?
I think this year it was either between doing the CERT Academy for the 10 days. Yeah. That was a real challenge.
Yeah.
And then before that, I wanted to do other hard stuff. So I did that half marathon.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not a runner, so that was definitely a hard one. But I definitely want to keep doing everything that I can. Next year, I'm already looking into maybe doing a trifecta Spartan race.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And that's like a 5K, a 10K, and a half marathon.
Yeah.
With like a whole bunch of between 20 and 30 obstacles on each one of them.
Yeah.
So I'm already looking at trying to figure something out because I need to dangle a carrot in front of me to keep me going.
Yep.
Finding a purpose, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, I still go to the gym every day and everything, but I feel like if there's something I'm actually going to be training for, like right now it's elk hunting season or hunting season coming up. So I got that. But then there's a long time between the end of November-ish to what's next.
Yeah.
So I need something. And so I like that misogi idea.
Yeah, I like that.
Just trying to find something new every year.
Yeah.
And like you said, if you can find these things to do, then you don't have to wait till you're older. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's a really cool idea. Yeah. Ashley said she's going to do the 5K or the smaller one with me next year. So
yeah, a lot of fun. Yeah, and it's funny because that's exactly. I think in my years I've done that. Like I've made a goal like that, and it's been a big goal, something I would never do, and then I lead up to it. And
like the roller derby.
Oh gosh, yeah, like roller derby. I was probably one of the oldest people on the team. But, I always wanted to do it. So,
yeah, I remember Ashley and I went to a couple of your matches down at the fairgrounds.
Yeah.
What made you want to get into that?
Yeah, I mean, as a little girl, my dad would watch the flat track or the bank ones where they would whip people around and I always enjoyed it. And then when we moved here to Idaho, we knew somebody who was coaching, and we went and watched a few times. And I was just like, gosh, I love the physical. I love being physical. I love just the whole aspect of it. And I told my husband, I said, I think I'm going to do it. And I was like, I think I can roll. I know I can roller skate. I roller skated as a kid. I got this. And he's like, but what if you fall down? And I'm like, I'm okay with that. I can pick myself back up. So I talked to somebody and started doing it. And it was a lot harder. The first day, I didn't know how to roller skate. Like, I put roller skates on and I looked like Bambi, like on ice. Like, it was awful. And one of the girls actually had to hold my hands and take me like around the track. And I'm like, I know how to skate, I do. But it had been like, I don't know, 20 years since I had been on skates. And so you kind of lose that because you don't remember it. It was not like riding a bike. But yeah, so just decided to do it. And I did it for 2 years. I think a couple things. One, being part of a team helped me with my weight loss and being fit and having that goal, like you were talking about, having that goal and that commitment to somebody else and myself really helped. And it was something I enjoyed doing. So I could kind of wrap all that around and do something fun. Did it for 2 years, and then COVID hit. And my goal was to do it for another year, but they had us sit out, and they sat out for 2 years, I think. And started it back up, I think a year ago is when they started it back up. And my body I'm too old for it. I realized I was too old for it. I wasn't good, but I did it. I was able to do it, done it. Can say I was a roller derby girl for 2 years.
So no third year coming up then?
No, I thought about it, but I just can't. My my body just won't let me do it. It won't let me do it. I was not getting up as fast as some of those other girls that got hit, And these girls, most of the girls that I skated with were either younger or they were a little bit, not my age, but a little bit older, but they had been doing it for years, like 10, 13 years. And so they were pros. And here I am new in my, well, I'm not going to tell you how old I was, but, close to almost halfway to 50, almost 50. We'll say almost 50. And I was doing it. I was the oldest person on the team, but, I just wasn't getting up fast enough. I mean, I could, but yeah.
Do you feel like surrounding yourself with better people made you get better?
Yeah, I think so. I think it was just more of that team aspect. You don't want to let anybody down on a team. And so that's what kind of pushed me to do well or try to do well. I mean, I was out at the schools around their little track or whatever, skating and trying to do jumps and, trying to go faster. And so, we had practice, 2 long practices a week and a scrimmage. So 3 days a week I was doing 2, 3 plus, training days and then game day. And then on my own, I was doing it too. So I think just not wanting to let your team down really was the big aspect of it.
How long of a learning curve did it take you to get back into the swing of roller skating?
By the end of the first practice, I was skating
Oh, you're
again.
back.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
just had to relearn. I mean, I wasn't 100%, and it was actually probably worse that I did know how to skate at one time, because in roller derby, it's a different kind of skate. It's hard to explain, but the momentum of the way you skate, you have to do it a different way than what we would skate, And I had the bad habits of skating already, and so it was hard to get into like the better habits for roller derby.
Yeah, you had to unlearn the ones first and
I
then learn the
couldn't.
new ones.
I tried. It was hard. I had to unlearn those bad habits before I could move forward, and it was a struggle.
Was that around the same time we were doing cornhole and everything too?
Yeah, it was the same time we were doing cornhole. I think during COVID, like more at the end of the roller derby is when I was really going more into the cornhole.
Oh,
Community.
okay. You needed something else?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I was doing roller derby. I remember doing roller derby, and then, my husband was doing my husband was doing cornhole, and I would just watch, and then I started getting into roller derby, and then I remember going to roller derby practice and then going to watch him play, and then COVID hit, and I was like, what am I going to do? So I started playing for a little while. Again,
Yeah.
I wasn't good at it, but I did it.
I remember you used to say like, "Oh, he's playing cornhole again," and then you started getting like irritated, and then you started beating him.
Yeah. Well,
You're like, "Well, I just gotta, yeah."
I gotta practice and get better than him. But it was just it was hard because his cornhole days were mainly on different days that were on the different days than I did roller derby. So I was
Right.
gone on Tuesdays, Thursdays, Sundays, and cornhole for him was Monday night, Wednesday night,
Saturday
Thursday
nights
night
too,
or
right?
Saturday. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he could go
The warehouse.
7 days a week.
Yeah.
They have it 7 days a week. You could
Plus practice
always-
at barbecues and
Yeah, and
yeah.
outside.
And it was during COVID, so then you're not really doing anything. You can't.
No.
All the stores are shut down, so
Yeah, give
Yeah.
us something. We were throwing cornhole in the house, like
Yeah.
over the couch, and luckily we had the 26-foot distance, but
Yeah.
you had to throw over the couch to get to it, and so. But it was a lot of fun. We kind of got out of it. Haven't played as much.
Yeah.
I don't actually remember the last time I threw a bag, to be honest.
I remember you and I got paired up a couple times. We got banned because we went like undefeated in the
Well, we
the little, or not the little league, but like the amateur league.
Yeah.
And they're like,
We were-
all right, you guys can't play in this anymore.
yeah, they were like, no, because we were like the backyard people. We played
Yeah.
with that, the non-competitive people, and we whooped their butts, and it was
Right.
like, oh, yeah, you guys can't play anymore. Well, we're not that good, but we're
Yeah.
not that bad.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where I was at and having a hard time too, because
Yeah.
you're kind of in that. Well, if I play here, I'm not going to do good, but if I play here, I'm going to do great. But people are going to get mad at you. So
Have you always had like a competitive spirit?
I think so. I'm stubborn and pretty competitive. I think that's what drove me through school. too, to accomplish what I wanted to accomplish because, you know, I said I was a teen mom and I was told that I would never amount to anything, like not from my family or anything, but friends. You could hear people, you know, in the background, oh, she ain't going to do nothing. She's a teen mom. She's going to be on welfare. She's, you know,
Right.
nothing wrong with that, but, you know, she's not going to amount to anything.
Yeah.
And that always stuck in the back of my head and drove me. And I mean, it still kind of drives me,
Yeah.
you know, but yeah, always kind of that driven, competitive. I'm going to show them I'm stubborn.
Yeah. The bet against me.
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead. Do it.
Yeah. Yeah. That drives me too. I mean, it's crazy because even sometimes like your friends and family will cheer for you a little bit.
Yeah.
But they still know like, you know, like
They're
you
just
get
unsure.
yeah. You make them uncomfortable, especially when you start changing or different things like that.
Yeah.
But I like the whole bet against me thing, or like I'll prove you wrong.
Yeah.
Like that really gets me too.
Yeah. I did a sprint triathlon, and anybody that knows me knows I'm afraid of water. I'm afraid of deep water. I don't go in anything that's over my head without panicking and having panic attacks. But, you know, someone's like, oh, well, you would be able to do that if you could swim. And I'm like, I'm not getting in that water. But again, that was that bet against me. Okay, go ahead, bet against me. And I did 3 of them. And the first one I did, my coworkers decided to do it with me, and they helped me train for it. Because it's, you know, we had to run, bike, and then swim. Or no, we swam, we biked, we ran. That's what it was. We swam, we biked, we ran. It was a small one. Nothing crazy, nothing, you know.
How long was the swim?
Oh my gosh. I don't even remember. It felt like forever. It felt like forever. And we were at Quinn's Pond. And so it was like the distance.
That's a clock tower,
and
right?
Back.
Is that the clock tower one?
No, it's the one, it's the white water park.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah.
In Boise. And we had to do like this big triangle. So I think it was 750 meters. I don't know. We'll just say it was that.
Okay.
If that's a good length, that's what it was.
Yeah.
If it's not a good length, that's not what it was. But they helped me train for it. And so the swimming portion was the most difficult because running and biking I can do, but the swimming. So I called up, it was through the YMCA. I called them up and I said, I don't know how to swim. I said, but I want to do this. Can I wear a swim belt? So they have these adult swim belts. They're like life vest, you know, for your waist. And I was like, can I wear one of those? And they're like, well, yeah, you can, but you can't win. And I'm like, well, I'm not there to win. I'm just there to try to swim, you know?
I just want to complete it.
I just want to do it to say I did it. You know, that was my whole thing, just to do it. And so they said, yeah, go ahead. Well, I'm the only one there with this damn swim belt on, run into the water, you know, but I did it. I mean, I was able to accomplish it all and do it in a great time. You know, my swim wasn't my fastest, but I made it up on my bike and my run. And so I cried after I finished it just because it was such a big, you know, people tell me you'll never do one of those because you can't swim. But I went on and I did one. I did 2 more after that. I did an indoor one and then I did another outdoor one. And one of the outdoor ones I did all by myself. No one was there. Like my husband was working. I didn't have any family in the area. And I remember getting out of the water and tripping and falling. And I was the last one out of the water. Had my swim belt on, skimmed up my knee. Everybody's looking at me and I'm like, I'm an old lady. I skimmed my knee and I got a swim belt on. And I was like, but I'm going to do this. Blood running down my leg, but I finished it. So big accomplishments.
Yeah. And you at least did it. There's
did
other
it.
people that didn't even sign up.
No. And that's, you know, later in life, I was like, I want to accomplish things because I don't want to die and somebody say, well, what did she do? You know, I can say I did roller derby. She did triathlons. I did Muay Thai for a little while. Like there was all these things that I just decided I wanted to do. And, you know, I can say that I did them and accomplished it and die and say I actually did something with my life.
Yeah, that's so great. I think that one of the best things I've heard within the last year is if you think the price of success is too high, wait till you get the bill for regret.
Yeah.
So many people that wish they could have done different things, but like you're never going to regret doing that. You'd regret it now if you never did it, though.
Yeah. I mean, and I made a fool of myself. I felt like I made a fool of myself, but I did it. And I don't regret making a fool of myself. I would have regret not doing it. But yeah, definitely.
So if I say I don't think you're going to do a third roller derby, you're going to...
Oh, that's different. That's different. My knees are not, no. My doctor would tell you no.
Do you have another physical challenge that's in your horizons you kind of like want to do?
No, not really. I haven't really thought about it.
You should do a Spartan race with me.
Oh, gosh. I've seen those.
And that's just to complete it, too. You don't have to do the competitive one.
It's possible. Something. We'll talk about
It's coming
it
to
off
Boise
camera.
next year, August.
We'll talk about it later. No, it sounds like fun. Let me look into it.
Yeah.
See what it entails.
Ashley's going to do it. So.
Yeah. Or is it, because it's teams, right? You do it in teams?
I think you can. I have to look more into it. Probably if you're just doing the for fun one, it's for teams. There's a competitive one that's for time, but...
Yeah. Are you doing the fun one or are you doing the competitive one?
Yeah, just a fun one.
Oh, yeah.
Like you, I'm just trying to get stuff done and say I completed it.
Yeah.
Because I don't care about that. Maybe later if I do like a bunch of them and do a lot of them, then I'll be like, I'm pretty good at this, but I'm not going to be... Yeah. I'm not a runner, so...
No, me neither.
First off, but...
Do I have to swim? Is there any swimming?
No, I think it's just going through mud.
Okay, then I can do that.
Yeah.
I can do that.
And then if you can't do an obstacle course, I think, or just one of the things, you have to do burpees or something.
Oh, yeah.
If you don't want to do it. But
yeah, like if it's too difficult, like if my knees won't hold up.
Yeah.
I would do it.
All right. August 9th and 10th, I think.
Okay. We'll do it.
All right. On a separate note, I did want to thank you for all the help that you've helped my wife and I and my son with, like getting into the different programs and everything. Like it's been huge to have a support with you. Like
I didn't feel like
crazy.
I did anything though.
Well, like getting us in like the Katie Beckett and all those different things. Like I've even helped other people out because they didn't even know about it.
Yeah.
So
well, and that's just it. You know, when you have a child with disabilities, nobody comes to you and says, this is what you need to do. You have to figure it out on your own. Like I had to figure it out all on my own. Luckily, my son had a teacher who was like, you need help. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know what to do. We had just moved to Idaho. We were in Ohio, and Ohio didn't have any services. We didn't qualify for anything. He got a teacher aide. That was all he got, was a one-on-one aide at school. And we moved here, and she's like, and I'm like, I can't afford all this. I can't afford all this. Yeah, I make decent money, but it's expensive to have a child with a disability. And she's like, well, go check this out. And then I just kind of learned on my own and researched, but nobody came and said, oh, you have a child with disabilities. This is what you need to do. So that's good that you were able to help others.
Yeah, it's been huge. I know Wyatt's got so much help. I mean, he's in something pretty much 5 days a week now.
Yeah.
But like, and Ashley's a trooper. She goes to all of them, and luckily she can work from home and be able to still take him. But yeah, just to be able to get that support. And like, I remember I came over to your house and you're telling me all about the programs, and then we looked into it. They got us all set up.
That's great.
Yeah. And luckily, we caught it early enough that we could get into it as early as possible.
Yeah.
But
yeah. And I've seen great success with children who have had like interventions early on. I mean, you see some kids that don't get that. Again, people don't know. Parents don't know about what's out there.
Yeah.
And, I know people say, oh, Idaho's not that great when it comes to Medicare, Medicaid, that kind of stuff. But compared to where we came from, wow. I mean, he wouldn't be on the Katie Beckett. They didn't have Katie Beckett in Ohio. He wouldn't be getting the services. You would have to pay out of pocket. Like I paid for my son to get diagnosed.
Yeah.
Like I paid for all of that, for the CT scans, the doctor visits, the psychologist, psychiatrist, everything. We paid for it out of pocket.
Yeah. He got help like from a year and a half old. I think they got him into the infant to toddler program first, and then they said that he couldn't do anything until he was like 3 years old is when they legally, or I don't know if it's legally or if it's just they said they can't do anything until they're that old.
Well, I think like learning, like I think that's when they can start working with them. I don't know if that makes sense, but I think 3 is like that learning curve where they know they'll retain it and they'll, I don't know.
Yeah, I remember we were in Snowbird, and my stepmom's a psychologist, and she's kind of been around this, and she's like pulling us aside. She's like just asking us questions, and was like really nice about it, but she's like, I think you might want to get him checked.
Yeah.
And it was kind of weird because I think there is also a little bit of denial that Ashley and I were in. Like,
Oh, yeah.
no, he's just a little slow learner,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's my only son too, so I was like kind of scared of everything. And man,
It's kind of that pride thing. As a man, I think. I mean, you always, it's that son. I want my son to be able to do
Right.
this and do that with me. And I mean, he's still going to be able to do those things with you.
Oh,
but
yeah.
it's at the time, it's like,
yeah.
it's kind of not a letdown, but it's a hard hit. It's like a punch to the gut when you find out your kid has a disability.
Yeah. I was really scared. I've talked about it a couple times on here, but like, I didn't want to have any more kids after that because then I started doing all the research and like it came from like the paternal side and usually it's handed down. So I was like, man, if I, and I'm naturally like an edgy person, really quick to jump. Later in life, things have opened up for me and I'm like, well, I'm pretty sure that's why God gave me what I needed. Someone referred to life as like a gym and God gives certain people more weight on their plate than because he knows you can handle it.
Exactly.
So I was like, well,
but
it's a level up.
You're right. And I feel like for me, it was the same thing because he knew that I would be able to help others and that I would learn and then be able to help others. I mean, I don't know like how much I've helped others, but I can give them the tools and have the education and the knowledge to be able to pass that on to somebody else. And learning the skills of being patient and understanding and it's big. And you're just starting.
Yeah.
You're just starting.
I know. I've talked to Adam a couple
luck.
times about the older stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're already on like our fourth version of child locks in the house. He got the slide ones real quick. He got the pinch ones. He got the pinch and rotate. Now we're on the actual key and lock.
Well, I remember you guys bungee cording your. Is that still?
Had to bungee all the chairs. We just gave up on that.
Oh yeah.
We just had to because now he's so strong he can just like do a muscle up pretty much onto the counter. So I don't know. I just gave up on the chair thing.
Yeah. I remember coming over and it being bungeed. I was like, oh gosh. But yeah, it's hard to hear from somebody that even like. Now, even somebody else saying it to me, it's still a punch in the gut. You know, but when someone first tells you, this is your diagnosis, and you're like, and then you have to like really it has to set in, and you're in denial, and then you're angry, and go through all the dang stages, but yeah.
I think it was a very big blessing in my life. So
yeah,
like there's no way that it hasn't helped me out. That patience that I've learned from him, he'll carry over into business. It'll carry over into coaching other people now.
Yeah.
They start messing up or anything. I can have patience with them and not be as edgy as I was. Like, why can't you just do this?
Yeah.
Like understanding more. Because I had no empathy for people from my childhood. I went through a lot of shit as a kid.
Yeah.
And I just have no empathy for people. I had to force myself to start like caring when Ashley would tell me she's sick because I had my stepmom and she always faked being sick just to get attention.
Right.
So like I automatically just made it. If she's like anybody tells me that I'm sick, I don't care.
Yeah. Like, and it's funny because my husband Adam is that way, and I think military and then the prison, working out at the prison, makes you have that like, you hear it, you've seen it, you've done it, you've heard people whine and cry. And then you come home and then you have someone, like our sons who need that empathy or need that help. Thank goodness for me because patience. Whew.
Yeah. Sometimes I got to take the long way home just so I can try and decompress.
Yeah.
I'll sit in the driveway for like 20 minutes and just kids will come out to me and they're like, you coming inside? I'm like, yeah, I'm coming.
Yeah. Just give me.
Yeah.
Well, and that's, kind of tying the fitness into that, that is a way for you to cope and put all your energy into your business and fitness and doing what's right. And that's kind of that outlet, I think, for you. That's my educated guess.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I'm definitely a different person if I don't start my day out with a workout.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I feel like I'm a lot more edgy. I'm stressed. And also now I feel like I'm a piece of shit. Like I didn't get up and do what I needed to do, Like I've got to that point where it's a built-in habit.
Yeah.
And it's like not brushing your teeth now. You're like, oh, this feels gross.
Disgusting.
Yeah. So I think it's a good spot once you can get to that point.
Yeah.
But it's also it's not fair to my kids and my wife to have to deal with me as an asshole.
Yeah.
When I'm
No. Or
like,
your friends.
Yeah. Yeah. It's weird though, because yeah, like she won't let me do any cutting or fasting. She's like, you're an ass. Don't not eat.
No. Yeah. Yeah. You get hangry.
Yeah. Yeah.
For sure. No.
But I think fitness is huge for me and my personal growth. It's taught me a lot of different things like delayed gratification and just putting in the work, not seeing results, but just trusting the process.
Yeah.
And I think you can make a lot of different correlations to different things in life that the gym can teach you.
Yeah. I think
setting goals.
Yeah, setting goals. I think for me, mental wellness.
Yeah.
I
wish somebody would have told me about the mental clarity for the gym rather than you're going to get shredded, you're going to get bulk, you're going to get those muscles. No, I have legit worked through a lot more mental things, just me versus me, looking myself in the mirror, talking to myself. Yeah. There's nobody at the gym at 3 o'clock in the morning, so that's awesome. But I've legitimately just had some minor breakdowns in the gym, just things that just trigger in the back of my head that I don't even think about. Now, I don't know what it is working out, just opens up these neural pathways or something.
It does. It releases endorphins. So, people with depression and, mental illnesses and working out is number one. It should be number one because of what it does with your mind and with the endorphins and the neural pathways. It just helps tremendously. But it's hard to tell somebody who's in a depression or not mentally clear to say, oh, you got to work out. This is what you need to do and you'll feel better. That's hard to do for some people, but man, yeah, that working out.
From a medical perspective, do you get frustrated when you see people just prescribed antidepressants first thing?
I think no. And I'm going to tell you why, because I'll admit I have depression. It was first diagnosed as seasonal depression. So in the wintertime, I would just be a bitch and cry all the time for no reason. And I knew working out would help. I don't think working out is the key for everything and for everyone. I think everybody's a little bit different. I think it helps. I think it's a big contributor when you have when something mentally is wrong, but I feel like it's okay to be on medication for it, if that makes sense. Because if you can get the help, then maybe that's going to push you to be able to work out more or push you to be able to get out of the house or push you to be a happier person. You don't have to always be like that. And so I would do my medication, and then in the summertime I would go off of it, where it's actually led to where I have to be on it all the time. It doesn't matter if it's sunny outside, if it's, dark outside, it doesn't matter. If I don't have it, then yeah, I'm crying all the time, or I'm just a bitch.
Do you think it's any different between men and women?
No.
I think I still got to work on my empathy then.
Yeah.
Because I always just feel like
I think you do. I think you do. Only because you have that perspective. I think because you're a man, and maybe not, but I think you have that perspective of, I did it, you can do it. Or let me rephrase that. I think you have the perspective that I sacrificed and you should too. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But everybody has their own journey.
Yeah.
Right. And that's where that empathy comes in, to where it's like, okay, I've got to give this person grace because they're not me.
Yeah.
My journey's different. My purpose is different than Joe,
Right.
But yeah, I feel like the depression, it goes both ways for men and women. I feel like men are harder to admit to it.
Yeah.
I think anybody. You don't want, it's hard for you to come out and say, oh, I have depression, I'm on medication. A lot of people, I'm okay. I'm an open book. I don't care telling people. But a lot of times it's not portrayed that it's okay for you to say, I have a mental illness, I have depression.
Yeah.
I have to be on medication. But for me, it's that balance. I have to have the medication, but without that medication, then I can't exercise, and the exercise helps as well. So it kind of goes hand in hand. What's your view on it? as a non-medical person.
Yeah. I feel like depression is a first world problem
Yeah.
because I feel like at the end of the day, like you still have responsibilities that you have to do. If you're in like a third world country,
Yeah.
like they have a lot worse stuff than us,
Yeah.
and they still get stuff done. And so from my perspective, it's just like there's people that are in a whole lot worse scenarios than us that still get shit done.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not maybe they still have depression, but they don't let excuses get in the way.
Right.
So I think excuses is like my bigger pet peeve with people.
Yeah.
They're like, or especially when people like tell me like I don't have time. I'm like,
Well, yeah. I think the excuses, yeah. I'm going to say for depression that I'm going to ask you if you don't want to answer. Do you have depression or have you ever been diagnosed with depression or anything like that? Like that you know of?
So when I was a kid, I don't know if you know my whole backstory of like
I know a little bit.
Long story short, I have a stepmom that like told me how I had to act towards people, like really like hateful to people and everything. If I didn't, I get punished. Would get be and not eat. I couldn't eat, whatever. Anyway, so like, I would act these really mean ways to people and everything. And so my dad and them took me to the doctor and they put me on depression meds. And I was like, I don't have depression, but they'd seen the different behavior issues that were like they're trying to solve problems for X and it's like Q that's controlling X.
Right.
So like you're trying to control the wrong problem. So
Yeah.
I was on like Zoloft and Wellbutrin and all those things growing up, and I was like, this doesn't do anything for me. Like,
Right.
and I'm just getting drugged for nothing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I might have a skewed version.
Yeah.
The skewed view.
I think you kind of do. And I'm going to tell you.
Yeah.
I think you do because it's that not everybody has the knowledge. I'm not saying you're stupid or anything, but unless you have it, it's hard to explain it if you don't have it. So for me, my husband would come to me and say, why are you crying? Like, you have a great job. I've given you this. You have this. There's nothing wrong in your life. Your life, I'm not going to say perfect, but it's great. What am I doing wrong? And I'm like, it has nothing to do with that. It has nothing to do with that. I have no reason why. There's no reason that's saying you have to cry. Like, there's nothing bad in my life. It's just a feeling that you get and you can't control it. And so when you say like a third world, like they have it worse, yeah, but they make it through, but they may not have depression.
Yeah.
And so those people that do have depression, it's not because of the way their life is. It's because of how they're feeling. It's a feeling. It's a chemical imbalance. And it's a medical chemical imbalance. And it's nothing that you can control. And so the medication and the exercise really help balance everything out to where you don't have that depression. So yeah, he would come to me and it's like, I don't know what to do for you. You're crying or you're being a bitch. I don't know. And I can't explain it. I just don't feel good.
Yeah.
I don't feel good. And it's not your fault because he'd be like, well, what did I do? I don't know what to do to help you. And now he recognizes it to where he can say, are you taking your medication? You know?
Yeah, I definitely do know that there's people that have it. My brother's one of them. Like, I can tell a big difference. He's great to be around when he's on his meds, and I hate him when he's not.
Yeah.
I love him, but like, so I do think that. I would just say that I think that there's a lot of people, maybe this is just from my perspective of being in the prison world, but there's a lot of people that don't need to be on depression meds and they just need to get some other things in check that they're depressed about.
Yeah.
So like so I'd say like, this is I don't know the statistics. I would say like maybe 10% of the people that are actually out there on depression meds need them. Yeah. The other 90% between diet and exercise could get rid of their shit.
Oh yeah. Oh,
so that's maybe a better way of looking at it.
Okay. Yeah.
But I definitely have family that would be crazy without meds. So
yeah,
like legit, I get that. I just don't have empathy for the people that don't try.
Right. And I understand that.
Or they just use it as a cop out. Like, I'm depressed. Like, what are you trying to do for it? It's like.
Exactly. I think, again, number one, the medication really helped me out. And then I do know that the exercise helps. The medication helps me to have the energy to go ahead and do the exercising.
Sure.
Because there are days you're just like, I don't want to do this. I don't feel like doing this. I'm not going to do it. And when you're in that state, it's like, but if you have the medication on board and you're like, oh yeah, I can do this now. and some people, like I said, I tried to go off of it and it just did not.
Yeah.
It wasn't healthy for me. I'm better off just taking it. And, I tried both. I tried to go off it. I tried with it, and I tried just the exercising. But for me, it was both. I need both.
Right.
But you're right. Everybody's different. Different. Everybody handles it differently. And you're right. Diet and exercise is a big key for anything.
I can only talk from experience, from what has helped me. And maybe I have a skewed view. Like, I think also because maybe the people that I just follow online, right? Like, you're a product of your environment. And I've just, my algorithm now has just surrounded me with this stuff. So like, I've seen it work for so many other people. And then I do think working in the prison, I've just seen, doing pill pass or something, like, I'm like, man, like, try working out. Like, but it's also that thing of, you can't make someone do it if they don't want to.
Right.
And it's got to be, as you might know, as a health coach, it has to be their idea.
It does.
Because I could tell you, like, this is what's going to work for you, and I know it's going to work for you. Maybe I don't know, like, the depression stuff, but like, I know you're going to feel better if you just go work out and you eat clean and you drink enough water. You're going to feel a lot better. But until it's like them, because I know personally, I've been told a lot of times, like, when I was a drinker, like, Matt, you need to probably, like, slow down.
Yeah.
No, I'm good. Or like, you should try and work out. Like, I'm good. But like, once I decided that I needed to slow down and then I needed to start working out, everything changed. But it had to be my idea.
Yep.
Even the thing that we were talking about earlier about like chasing too many things and not just focusing on one. Like, my mentor last year told me that. He's like, Matt, you need to like pick one thing. Like, you should probably get rid of selling stuff on eBay. You should probably get rid of that. And I'm like, I can't. Like, this is how I'm making money. And he's like, you chase two rabbits, you're not going to catch either one.
Right.
But until I came up with it on my own, something that's already been told to me, like, it's not going to work.
No. And I think that's where, for me, with the health coaching, it's the motivational interviewing that I use, because it's helping that person come up with a conclusion, but pushing them and coaching them. Like, how come, or why not? How come you're not working out? What's getting in the way? And then them saying, oh, okay, what's the solution? Well, I think I could walk at least 10 minutes when I get home. Or I think I could put the gym clothes in my car and just not go home after work. I can go to the gym. And so it's them coming up with it, and you're not, but you're secretly putting it in their head.
Right.
Like, you're secretly trying to get them to that.
Planting those little strings for them to pull.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I do is.
Have you ever read The Coaching Habit? It's a really good book about that. It's a short read, but it's like pretty much just motivational interviewing and getting them to come up with their own solutions.
So check it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've done a lot of training with it. And I feel like all medical professionals should do it, should do some kind of motivational interviewing training.
I think leaders should too.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. Because it just really clears the pathway, and
Do you have a lot of experience with leadership? Have you been on like leads for your teams or anything?
Yeah, there's so our team is really, really small, and I'm the only nurse in the department. We have a PRN nurse that comes and helps us every once in a while, but I'm the nurse in the department, and so I'm the one that's training new people. I'm the one that's kind of leading things. I have different projects that I'm working on, or that have worked on, that I lead. We developed a prediabetes program. We developed a mental health program. And then I've developed a blood pressure program. So I've had to do like leads on those and be in that position where it's like, okay, you need to do this. I need you to do this. And here's the deadlines. That's mainly where my leadership has gone. I was a charge nurse, that kind of thing. But being the lead on projects has been the biggest thing.
I got to tell you, your husband's probably the best leader that I've had the pleasure of working with over the last 10 years.
I agree. I hear the things that he does. I hear, how he can be a mentor. He can be a friend, but he can be a leader as well. He can be your boss, but he can also, joke around with you and kid around with you. But he knows when to make it like that point to where it's like, hey, you're screwing up. You're screwing up. Let's fix this. He's helped me a lot in leadership. And in fact, when I'm more of I react rather than take a deep breath. And I always jump the conclusions, like, oh, this isn't going to work, or this is awful. And when that happens, I usually have to call him, and he can calm me down, and he'll be like, it's going to be okay, it's all right. But as far as his leadership, yeah, he was home late the other night because he went on a run to pick up a bus. He saved. Yeah, it was you. He saved.
Yeah.
He calls me, Carrie, I'm not going to be home till late. Why?
Yeah, it's like 8 o'clock at night.
8 o'clock at night. And he was at work. I mean, you guys too, but he was at work at 5:30, up at 4 and at work at 5:30, and it's 8 o'clock. And then he has to turn around and come back, but he didn't have to do that. But, he stepped in and did that. And I think even the little rewards that he does sometimes, the little gift cards here and there. I mean,
the Dutch Bros cards, all that. Yeah.
Just, appreciating his team. And I feel like he has a lot of appreciation for his team and wants everybody to do well, and takes it personally too when something doesn't go well, but also, strives for everybody to kind of have that attitude as well.
Yeah. Stick his neck out for you too.
Mm-hmm.
That's big.
Yeah.
I think it's a great leader. You think the military experience helped him out with that?
I think so. I mean, he started as a peon and then, worked into a leadership position. So I think that background really gives him that good leadership role, especially then going from that and then to the prison. I mean, I feel like the prison is so similar to the military. It's so similar. You're working these set hours, but you have to work overtime. No one tells you, oh, can you do this? Mm-hmm. You can't say no. That's how the military is. When they say you're working late or you're going somewhere, you can't tell them no. And so I think that kind of shaped him into the leader he is having that, and then going into this role as well. I think, my honest opinion, I think just about any leader should go in the military to start. I mean, seriously. I mean, it structures you. The structure alone, it just really helps with that skill. And he started from the bottom. He's, like I said, he started from a peon and worked his way up, in the military. And then same thing with at the prison. He was an officer and then corporal and sergeant. But I think he would do well in even higher, but that's just not a goal for him. So
he's doing great. He's great.
Well, I'm glad, because all the pumpkin rolls I make, all the salads I make,
can you start sending high protein snacks in, please?
Sure. Could you send me which ones you want, and I'll make them for you?
Yeah. I'm like, oh, Carrie, come on. I'm trying to diet.
Every time.
We're trying to be health coaches here too, guys. Come on.
I know. I a little treat here and there is okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, every time I make something, he's like, oh, I always think about you. I'm like, oh, I bet you Sid will like this.
Yeah. Well, no. You got to do what you got to do.
But I think him and I together work well because, I know that he likes to provide you guys with treats and stuff like that. And then I just know, every couple of weeks, I just got to get something for you guys. And, he takes the credit for it, but I know deep down inside you guys know.
Oh, he always gives you the credit. He doesn't take credit.
Oh, I don't know about that. Hey, guys, I made you some pumpkin rolls.
Yeah, we all know who made them.
Yeah. Hey, I made a salad the other day. There was a salad that got brought in the day before, Tuesday. Big salad. Lots of veggies in it.
Yeah, I mean, the whole idea of this whole podcast, though, is just a lot of people might see the success that you have and stuff, and I just don't think a lot of people will understand where you come from. Yeah. And I think it's been huge to be able to be a part of your life the last few years. I'm blessed to be able to have you in my life. What are some of the challenges that you think that people should know about that you've had to go through over the years, like some adversities that you've had to overcome?
Yeah. I think starting as a teen mom,
yeah, that's huge.
Being 16 and having a baby and having to finish school, I had a lot of support. I'm still with the baby daddy. Yeah. I'm still with him. We're going on 32 years of being married.
And he went in the military. How long? So you were alone then?
Yeah. So right? I had our son my junior year, in the middle of our junior year, and he was with me. He was a senior. And so we had him in November, December, January, February, March, April, May. So about 6 months he was with us, and then he went in the military. So my whole senior year was me alone. Granted, I had a lot of support from my parents. They helped tremendously, but I wanted support from them, but it was me. I'm not going to say it was a mistake, but I made that choice. It was my responsibility, and I didn't want them to
ownership
have
of it.
I took ownership of it. Granted, I had to have their help with financially, and I would. My day consisted of going to bed at 1:00 at night and getting up at 4 a.m. for my whole senior year. Because I would have to get up. I would have to get myself ready, my son ready to take him to daycare. And then I would go to school. And then I didn't work at that time, but I came home and then I had homework to do. I had stuff to get ready for him. And so I would study after he went to bed and do all my homework. And, so from 1 to 4 is when I slept. And there were times where he didn't want to sleep at that time. And, my dad would step in. I remember him coming and getting my son one night. He was watching hockey, and he's like, "Carrie, let me take him." I'm like, "No, I got it, Dad. I got it." And he's like, "No, it's okay. You get some sleep." Took him downstairs, and I was able to get a few hours of sleep. But my son loves hockey to this day, just saying. But having that support really helped. But I didn't want, I wanted to do it myself. And so my whole senior year, I was without Adam. And then the day after graduation, I moved out. We packed up, and he had been stationed in Texas, and so we moved out to Texas. So being a single mom, kind of, being a teen mom, and going to high school all at the same time, you're not supposed to do that, right? You're not supposed to be a parent in high school. And so, but I was able to accomplish, the things I wanted to. I was told, like we were saying before, I was told that, I wouldn't amount to anything. I mean, I had big dreams. I had big dreams of going to Penn State and becoming a nurse practitioner, and I was going to, do that right out of high school, and I wasn't able to. I derailed my dreams, but I was able to get there. So for me, I may not have empathy for people who say they can't do it, because I feel like you can make a way to do it. There's a way to do it, and I did it, and so that was probably one of the biggest things. Going through nursing school was tough, was really tough, especially when I went to RN school. I was working 3 12-hour shifts, so I would work Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I would get off Monday morning, go home and change, drive 45 minutes to school, and then be at school all day, and then be home at 4 o'clock in the evening, and then have all my studying. And I had 2 small kids at home. And so how do you be a mom, a wife, go to school, and work full time? So having to juggle that all around really helped, throughout my life, I think. Because again, if you can juggle all that, then you can accomplish what you want. So I think those probably are the biggest. What was the question?
Oh, just what's some things that people haven't seen that you've had to go through, And
Yeah.
I think all those long hours you had to do just recently going through school and everything.
Yeah.
You didn't have to do that.
No, it's just, I wanted to do it and made it a way and figured out how to do it. Just figuring out how do I do this? How do I fit this in and doing it? But yeah, it was, there's been a lot of challenges being, husband in the military and small kids, and then a kid with a disability. My son was diagnosed at 4. And so, so now I have that and a son with a disability. So I think that was a big kick in the stomach too, is that, and had to get him through school. That was the roughest. Our school system sucks. I'm not going to lie. Our school system sucks for kids with disabilities. There were so many things. I was at the school nonstop. So get your big boy pants on, because you're going to need them for school. Well, you guys are going to homeschool, right? Or
Not Wyatt.
Okay. So get your big boy pants on, because the schools knew me.
Yeah.
And I had to show them that I cared about my son and that I cared about his education before they really took me serious, and then didn't have any problems. But I'm going to say Skyview here in Nampa, they had a special education teacher, and don't blurt this out. I'm not going to say his name, but don't edit this. But there was a special education teacher, and he was, and I'm not going to say what year or anything, but he was a football coach. He was assistant coach, and then he coached freshmen. So I feel like he was only in there because he was a coach. And remember, this is a class of kids with disabilities. And he would tell them, he would do solitary confinement. is what he would call punishment. So if they did something wrong, they put them in a corner, turned around in their desk. Well, kids with disabilities, that's not, you have to treat it a little bit different than normal kids, right? The punishment's different. He'd have to go outside and do community service is what he called it. And he'd have to go out and pick leaves by hand out front of the school. And then he started cussing at him. And that was the last straw. And my son would come home. He's usually a happy-go-lucky kid. You know, he was always bebopping, and I could tell something was wrong. He would, at dinner time, he would just look down and I'm like, Tyler, what's wrong? What's wrong? Nothing. I'm like, you need to tell me what's wrong. And he told me, and I went to school and I was like, I do not want this. I am here. If he does something wrong, I want you to call me. I want you to tell me before you do anything. Do not punish him. Don't do anything. But it was a fight through. When he graduated, that was a big accomplishment for me. It really was. It was a big weight. Like I could just feel the weight lifted off my shoulders because he graduated. So I think that's going to be tough. Yeah. You can do it. You can do it. Anybody can do it. You can do it. I mean, having support and knowing your resources and your outlets and who to go to, that's going to be the big thing.
Yeah, I think it's nice having my wife, too, because she kind of calms me down. And then there's times where I come home and I can tell, like, she needs a break, too. So I try and take over a little bit. But she's an angel, man. I don't know how she does it.
I don't know how she does it either.
Like, my son, I'm calling my wife, like, 2 hours after watching him, like, are you on your way home yet? Or...
Yeah. But that's good that you give her... I mean, I think both of you need time for yourselves, and especially I found that's what helped with me. I really, it's okay to take the time out. And like my advice for you guys is it's okay to go and date. Like it's okay to have date night and leave the kids behind. You guys have support and you can do that, and it's okay to do that. It's okay to leave the kids. We started our anniversary after Adam got out of the military, we went back to Ohio and my parents were real close. And we hadn't really done anything because we didn't have the support. Being in the military, you have friends, but you have a kid with disabilities, they don't know what to do. So we really didn't have any of that. And once we moved back home and had the support, we made sure. I mean, we still kind of go on dates and go away to vacation and go to overnight things. But I mean, I think for both of you, that's going to be key.
Yeah, we try and do the 2-2-2, where like 2 weeks we'll try and do a date night, and every 2 months we'll try and do like one overnight, and then every 2 years we'll try and do, like a vacation by ourselves. But that usually gets unfortunately put on the back burner. So we need to be more of a priority to do that, even if it's just taking. We used to do the 75 hard, and it was kind of nice because we would put the kids to bed, and we would just walk even just right in front of the house where you could always see the house, but it was just like our own time, 45 minutes every night. We could just talk to each other, no kids. It was really cold at night. It was like in January we would be doing that, but it was nice just to be, it's all quiet. There's all snow on the ground. It's just quiet. We're talking. Sometimes we just need that adult time because she's watching Blippi all day or whatever the heck she's watching, and like that's on repeat the whole time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And my son is like huge into music, which I don't know if that's just like comes with the territory, but he is like, I've listened to like Lose Control by Teddy Swims like so many times. Now he's into Imagine Dragons Believer. Like it's just the same song over and over again.
Oh gosh, yeah.
And like he'll just start singing songs, but he doesn't talk that much, but we can hear like the tone and
what he's.
Yeah, so it's really cool. Yeah. I think we're going to try and do like maybe some musical therapy or something. That's expensive.
Yeah. Yeah. But you might be able to incorporate that into some of his therapy.
I think that music, for some reason, is like his go-to.
Yeah.
And he's learning everything. It's so much easier for him to learn with music. So it's good to be able to know that early on. Yeah.
And my son, same way, loves music.
Yeah, DJ.
He tries to, he decided he wanted to be a DJ. And I mean, he doesn't know what 2 + 2 is. I'm sorry. He probably does, but 2 + 2 is. But by golly, you put a DJ board in front of him, he knows how to work it. Yeah. Like he knows the technology. He knows how to link it. He knows how to sync it. He can mix it. He can do whatever. But, you give him a simple task to do and he can't do it. Yeah. But music has been, for him too, has always been like, he's loved music and movies. You know, he can tell you anything about any artist, but he can't remember like how to tie a shoe, you know, stuff like
Right.
that, you know, simple things.
They're really smart in certain areas for sure.
Yes.
Like,
His is his memory. He has a really, really good memory. He can remember, Mom, do you remember 6 years ago when we went here and you had that red top on? And I'm like, no, I don't even, what? But he has the best memory. And I think that's what's helped him through the years is that memory of remembering things. But
yeah.
it's remembering things he wants to remember.
Right.
Right? It's he can't remember things he doesn't want to remember, but the things that interest him, he remembers.
Yeah. I think we're trying to really focus on the things that are good with Wyatt. We're going to like really push so that he can enjoy this. Like he loves climbing and he loves music and he loves all these things. So rather than like dwelling on what he can't do, where I think Ashley and I are trying to just focus on the things that he can do. And I think if people could do that in a lot of different scenarios in life of just focusing on the good stuff, like you can make a whole bunch of different things happen. Same with our daughters, like one's really good at math and one's really good at reading, but they're both switched, you know? So it's like, that was one of our issues with public school that we were thinking about like taking them out was one of our considerations because like my daughter that's not good at math, her report card, I know she's not like where standards should be. And it said like standards met.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, my youngest daughter that's like in second grade, a year below her is way better at math than my third grader was. And then she's getting stalled because there's other kids in her class that aren't good. So I'm trying to figure that out. And then I was like, if your guys' standards are met, what's your standards?
Yeah. Well, and that's just it. There's no consistency with our schooling, like across the United States. There's no consistency, even in high school. I remember I went to 4 different high schools, and each one had a different standards. Like, what credits do you have to have? What classes do you have to have? Like, they changed from each one, and it's like you would think it would just be, okay, these are the credits that you have to graduate high school in the United States, and they don't do that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I think Idaho's pretty low on like where we rank for education out of all 50. So I definitely got a lot of weird looks when you said we're homeschooling our kids.
Yeah, but I think now it's okay.
There's a lot of kids in this neighborhood that are homeschooled.
Yeah,
so I think that was the stigma too, was like
yes,
they want me a social life, but there's many kids that aren't.
Well, you have to be able to incorporate that too, and making sure that they're getting, around other kids and things like that. I think that's the biggest thing of homeschooling is they don't get that interaction with classmates and, and that's what they miss. That's the only thing good about school, like, public schools or any schools, is that you get that interaction. But I feel like if you're incorporating that already or trying to incorporate that, then.
Luckily, a lot of my friends have multiple kids.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I think you set the standard for everybody.
Hey, one of my friends has 5 now, so I've been beaten.
Yeah, but you guys were in a race for a little while. I was waiting for a 5th one for you.
Yeah, I remember telling Adam, he's like, man, come on. Like, all right, well, we used to joke with Adam. We'd be like, can we have a day off? And he's like, no, we can't get you a day off. He's like, you know how I could get 12 weeks off? Which one you want, one day or you want 12 weeks?
Well, I remember, I won't say his name, but came up to Adam and was like, can I switch my vacation around? And he's like, I want to take it earlier. And I was like, he knew because we had ran into his wife.
Yeah.
And he's like, do you think it has something to do with maybe your wife is due around the time you're supposed to take vacation and you'll be on baby leave then already?
Yeah, you ain't that slick.
Yeah, he's like, how did you know? And he's like, we ran into your wife at the store. Yeah.
So what do you think the future holds for you? What's some goals you're working on now?
Oh, man, just to get through life. Retire right now. That's the goals. Probably to do this darn Spartan thing with you in August.
I hope so.
Oh, man.
Hey, it's a challenge, right?
Yeah. No, I think I've got to figure, it's time to, I've went off the bandwagon of really focusing on myself per se, other than TikTok. And how to fit everything. We recently moved my parents in with us. So we've got them living with us. So I'm trying to figure out how to balance everything again, and I've been able to do it before, figure it out. And so right now for me, that's the biggest goal is how to figure everything out, like balance everything, work, parenting, having parents at the house, because it's been a challenge.
What's your advice to people that are trying to get that balance in their life?
I think just making yourself a priority. It's okay for you to be number one. It really is, because if you're not number one, then and you're not, healthy, or you're not, if you're not a great person, or you're in that mental state, that's not a great person, but if you're not in that mental state and in a good mental state, then you can't be present for other people. So that's my biggest thing is it's okay for you to put yourself first and then everybody else, because without putting yourself first, then you're not there present for others. And that's something that I've had to learn. It's okay to say no. It's okay to put yourself first. It's okay to take that time out. It's okay to take that 10-minute walk and leave everybody behind, because it benefits you, but it also benefits your family and everybody around you.
It's like an airplane. You got to take care of yourself first, right?
Yeah. If not, guess what? Yeah. You're nosediving.
Yeah. I've been watching your TikTok, and like I can't get any value out of it, but it's cool just to watch, like, because I'm not gonna put makeup on. But,
oh, come on!
Like just to be able to see you put yourself out there, and I know, for me, I could talk to you just fine, and I could talk to anybody else just fine, but like just to put yourself out there, and for me to talk to someone strange, not for it, or just putting myself. I don't like hearing my voice, like editing. Gosh, it sucks.
It gets easier.
Yeah,
it's
it's like anything, putting in the reps, right?
Yeah. I think that's one of the biggest reasons why I did it too, because I don't like to look. I hate cameras. I hate videos. Believe it or not, I hate videotaping myself. I hate seeing myself on camera. I hate hearing myself. And I would have to do it for work. We did podcasts at work. We did videos at work. And it was like I got so nervous and would turn beet red and sweat and then just be real uptight. And then I would start like blah, 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 talking really fast. And doing the TikTok has actually helped with doing podcasts at work. Getting in front of a camera, I don't care anymore. I mean, it's to the point where it's like, if you don't like it, I don't care. I really don't. I do it for myself, not for someone to, to care. So it's really helped me be able to branch out a little bit more and be more out there. So yeah, I think it will help you too.
What was your feedback when you first started from a bunch of people?
It's funny because when I first started doing TikTok, it started with me saying, oh, I would like to do this, and talking to some of my coworkers. And I would do videos for them of like unboxing of makeup or unboxing. So I would just make them TikTok videos and then send it to them. And they're like, you should do it. You should do it. And I'm like, nah, because I don't want that negative feedback. And I'm not really good in front of a camera. And I don't want to watch myself. And then just like one day it was just like, I'm just going to do it and see. And I've not had any really rude people, thank goodness. I mean, there are a lot of nasty people out there. And I think you just have to have a tough shoulder and be like, well, I don't see you doing this.
Yeah.
I don't see you doing this. Why are you criticizing the way that I'm doing? I'm not saying I'm a pro. Yeah. I'm just here to have fun and show you some of the makeup I like. And so I think the thing with social media is you just have to have that tough skin.
Right. And you won't find a hater that's doing better than you. So
yeah.
Yeah, that's been a thing for me too, is I try and just like go into what I'm afraid of, right? So being on camera for me I hate it, but
yeah. Well, that's like, when you asked me to do podcasts, I was like, oh yeah, I can do a podcast. Yeah. And then I watched your first one and it was video, and I'm like, do you know how many times I changed my clothes today and put makeup on today? Because I knew I was going to be on camera. I was like, he didn't say nothing about camera. He just said podcast. Podcast is not camera.
I know when I started doing like all the research I'm trying to do for podcasts and everything, I have to make sure to put in video because automatically podcast is just a listening thing. Yeah. So like to me, I don't know, like maybe it's just Joe Rogan days and everything, like everything. I just automatically assume the podcaster, you watch it, but I don't know. Have you ever heard that story of the cow and the buffalo?
Tell me.
It's I don't know, maybe I think it's a metaphor maybe, but so like in the middle of a storm, cows and buffaloes will act differently. A group of cows will run for miles trying to avoid the storm, and eventually the storm still catches up with them. They have to go through the storm and everything. Where a herd of buffaloes will run right into the storm, weather it real quick, and it's done. So either way, the storm's going to catch up with you. It's just how long do you want to tire yourself out trying to run from something that's going to catch up with you anyway?
Right.
So I kind of try and take that into like public speaking. It scares me, or just talking to people. But I'm never going to get to my high goals that I want if I can't talk to people. I mean, communication is the number one thing that you need to be able to do to get to anywhere high in the world. Or, you know, I set big goals. Like people make fun of me, but I'm like, I want to be a millionaire by the time I turn 40. So like, if I want to do that and make these big things, then start learning how to talk to people.
Yeah. Well, and for you, just your journey, you know, being able to tell people like, you know, the drinking, the food, you know, just where you've come, and being like a motivational person. And so you can't do that if you aren't ready to put yourself out there and try.
Yeah.
And so you've got a good story to tell, and you can't tell it if you're hidden.
Right. I know you were my drinking partner.
I
I look at some of our pictures from back, even like holiday parties. I'm like, man, I can't believe I got crazy and dancing like that at a public liquid courage, I guess, right?
Or drinking out of a shoe. Flip flop.
Yeah. Yeah, I did a lot of crazy stuff.
Yeah.
And you know what's funny is people always said like, you have a drinking problem. And I didn't see it until I stopped drinking. And I was like, oh, man.
Yeah.
I remember working at Dick's part-time, and I was drinking on the floor in a Yeti cup.
Oh, gosh.
Like just seeing what I could get away with. Or I thought that once you hit dirt road, like real rules don't apply. So we're just like pouring drinks and, you know.
Yeah. Well, and you don't, we see like alcoholism as someone who can't function and can't go through life, right? And that's not the truth. There's different forms of alcoholism. And so if you're drinking at work, that's a problem, right?
Yeah.
And recognizing that. So, you know, it's to show that, you know, it's not just that typical stereotype alcoholism.
Yeah. I remember one time, like it's bad to think about now, but Ashley and I were on our way home from a party one time, and we didn't have the kids. We had a babysitter, so that's a caveat for the story. But I was like, Ashley, we're both like probably above the limit. I'm going to lose my job, though, if we get pulled over. You won't. So, like, how fucked up is that, though, that I'm just going to willing for my wife? I mean, we only had to drive, like, a straight line, like, a couple miles, but
still,
like, looking back, I'm like, man, how selfish was that?
Yeah.
And especially now, like, I probably could have just gotten Uber. It was, like, only 4 or 5 years ago, but still, like, Uber's around. But just all the stupid things that I did when I was drinking. Yeah. I've said so much messed up stuff to Ashley when I was drinking, and I look back, and I'm like, oh, man, like, what an angel to still be with me, for one. There's no way that there's 9 out of 10 women that would have just left me immediately after half of the stuff I've said when I'm drunk. And I had to start doing an audit, like, how many times did Ashley and I get in fights when we're drunk? Or like, what is the main cause? Yeah. And I was like, well, there's one common denominator. So if you don't change something, nothing's going to change. So I was like, oh, well. Yeah. That's it.
Well, and I remember you just starting with like it was like a month. You were doing 30-day.
Yeah, because you guys came over for the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I didn't drink during the Super Bowl.
And then, no, was it Super Bowl or was it?
Yeah, because it was when Snoop Dogg and all that came. Or no, I was drunk there in that one.
Yeah, we had gin and juice that day.
No, it was when Snoop Dogg was on the Super Bowl. No, we did go to we did go to the Snoop Dogg Holidays Ablaze or whatever.
Yeah, it was like right after
that. That was before. That was in December because it was right before Christmas.
Yeah.
Because it was supposed to be a Christmas show.
Yeah. Okay, but, it was Super Bowl. Because you were like, we were all like, how are you going to get through Super Bowl without drinking? You're like, I'm going to.
Yeah. And then I had a couple of drinks in March, and then I got really hammered at Topgolf for my birthday.
Oh, yeah.
You guys came to that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a hard time remembering who was always there because it was a rough day. But that was like one of the last times I drank.
Yeah.
But it's been a good change. I don't miss it too much.
Yeah.
Except for when it was hard at the beginning, like during golf. That was about the only time. But
yeah. Well, it's hard when other people, like, that's kind of what people know you as.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we can count on Sidwell's going to come over. We're going to have fun, that kind of thing. And it's kind of hard when you have other friends that are always drinking or always, and golfing was probably,
Yeah.
a big thing for you guys to go out and drink and play golf and
Yep.
for you to kick it.
Yeah. Yeah. It scares other people that are around you when you start changing because they fell in love with that version of you.
Yeah.
And it's understandable. Like it's scary. It's a totally different person. So sometimes you just got to grow.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I know, I always say I don't need alcohol. I'm crazy anyway.
Yeah.
So I don't care.
Right.
I don't need it. I do, occasionally, but
Yeah.
you're crazy anyway.
Yeah.
You don't need it either.
Yeah. What's some of the best advice you've ever been given for personal growth?
Oh, gosh. That's a tough one. What's the best you have?
I think just setting the example for my kids and taking care of any of my demons so that I don't give it to them.
Yeah.
Somebody asked me one time, they're like, would you, if your kids and you could do like a Freaky Friday situation and they take over your body, your habits, everything right now, would you be okay with that?
Yeah.
And short answer was no, I wouldn't be. And so I had to start looking into different things. And kids always fail to listen to their parents, but they don't fail to emulate them.
Right.
So
That's true.
I just knew that I had to be a bigger person from what advice I was given. It's like, be the person that you needed most in your dark times.
Yeah.
Create the person that you admire the most and gift that person to the world. Purpose over pleasure. That's the shortest one.
Yeah.
Is this decision going to get me closer to my goals or is it going to get me further away from my goals? A little self-audit you got to do.
Yeah. Agreed. I ditto it.
That's cheating.
Okay, ask the question again one more time.
Just like what's some good advice that you've been told? You can just simplify it to that.
Yeah. I think some of the ones that I told you, just, in personal and like family life, is making time for yourself and making time for couple, like for you and your spouse. 32 years of marriage, we've been through highs and lows. It wasn't always easy. We were poor. We had hardly any money, and we kind of built ourselves up from that. Kind of where you're at, where we wanted to be able to be good role models for our kids and show like, yeah, I did go to school. I did do this. I did accomplish this. Wanting them to be proud of us as well. But making sure that, for marriage wise, making sure that you're taking the time out for yourself. So definitely do those date nights. And then again, putting yourself number one. It's okay to put yourself number one. I think that's probably the biggest advice that I've gotten, that it's okay to say no. It's okay for you to be number one, because without that, you're not going to be the support for everybody else.
I like it.
Yeah.
Where's a good place for everybody to follow you at?
On TikTok?
Do you know your handle?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's Carrie Miller 2. Caremill 2.
We'll put it in the screen for them.
Oh, great. Lots of makeup, skincare advice. Hey, guys can do skincare too. I'm just saying.
Yeah?
You might have to do some skincare.
Yeah? Do I need it?
Let me tell you. Okay? So if you look good on the outside too, it includes your face.
Wow.
So yes, you want to be fit, you want to look good, but you got to feel confident. And putting some makeup on every once in a while is going to make you feel confident.
That's a hard pass.
Just kidding. But seriously, men can do skincare too.
Yeah.
You don't want wrinkles in your 40s and 50s.
Right.
So wash your face good.
No, it checks out.
Moisturize.
Yeah. It checks out. I'll pass on the makeup, but maybe the other stuff, I don't know. Yeah. Well, thanks for coming on. I appreciate your time.
Thanks for
And we'll have to have another one next year after the Spartan race.
Yeah. Text me the deets.
All right.
All right. Well, thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Mm-hmm.